Yo, what's up, guys? Today's the 4th of June, and this is my podcast. Oh yeah, I gotta what I do? I have a website now. Did that the other day. My friend come up and we're fucking around, and I didn't know you could set up like a free website on WordPress, and I was like, oh, that's kind of cool. I can kind of try it out and experiment with it. Like, there's different things I'd like to do. Like writing blogs, and my photography. I love photography, so I'd love to share kind of things with people that are listening if they're interested. If I'm talking about, I went out one day and I took pictures of certain things, and I could show you the pictures, and then it's kind of more of you can see what the fuck I'm doing. What else? Yeah, so I was going to experiment on that, and this is all kind of new to me, and it's probably pretty strange because I study multimedia for the last number of years, but I don't like a lot of aspects of multimedia. I don't like websites. I'm weird. Like, I only like certain things that like, I love being creative, but the whole website thing is like, no, you couldn't pay me to give a fuck about it. But I know it's kind of, you need these things for like, it's a great hub for my content, and it could make it easy that if someone goes there and it's like, oh cool, here's all his links to external sites, his Twitter or whatever, his podcasts, his images, even if I want to write things, kind of blog posts or whatever. And so I was kind of thinking, yeah, it never really crossed my mind. It was never really something in my mind, but I'm trying to keep an open mind about things. And my friend kind of suggested it to me, and I was like, well, how much do I have to pay, or what way does it work? And I was kind of thinking, well, it could work out better for everything, because even the podcast is I can only upload so much. Like, I think with SoundCloud I can only upload, it's 3 hours a month, I think it is, which for the amount of content that I want to upload is pretty, like, it's just I can't work on that at all. For the website, you can upload your things there. I know you can upload say podcasts and upload onto it, and then you get a feed. It's like a URL or whatever, and you paste it into iTunes or Stitcher or whatever else you want to kind of put your podcast up on, so people can get it from. I think there's ways you can download it on mobile, or there's loads of different things, but I'm only getting into this, so like, this is all new to me. Even creating the podcast artwork was a fucking nightmare. It has to be the exact dimensions, exact this, exact that, and even then, fucking Apple can still throw and say, no, it's not good enough, or you violated our code of conduct, or whatever, or we just didn't like it. I tried to submit my podcast like it must be like 7 times to iTunes. The whole process is you go onto iTunes, the app, and in the podcast section on the very right hand corner, it's like all about blah blah blah. There's a few different things like settings, whatever, and then it says submit a podcast. You click on submit a podcast, it opens up a new web page, and it's like, if you click on it, put in your URL, and that's your feed. So every time I upload a podcast, like, that's the direct link to all the podcasts. But I put it in, and they sent me an email. And I was like, oh cool, at least I know it's submitted. Woke up the next morning, rejected. I was like, what the fuck? Even before that, sorry, I skipped a large chunk of that. Even before that, creating the fucking podcast artwork, it has to be 14,000 by 14,000 pixels. Oh my fucking god, like, I was so frustrated trying to create it, because I done it perfectly. But then when you upload it to SoundCloud, it takes the wrong picture, and it took me hours upon hours, and to redo things and re-export things. I was going mental. And when you're submitting a podcast, I have to have the right dimensions, the right picture. But I think it's like their software is kind of a bit fucked up, because it takes the wrong picture. Like, you have to upload a small picture for like a thumbnail on, say, SoundCloud, and it takes that one, and it's way too small. And you're like, I know that. Take the bigger one. For fuck's sake. But eventually got that sorted out. I uploaded it to iTunes, and yeah, it got rejected because fuck knows. I've been trying to. The next couple of days after that, I looked up a few different things, and I think I had a gay. I think I had the word gay in the title of one of my podcasts. Because I was discussing it in the podcast. Uh, and I don't think they took it because of that, which is the only thing I can think of. So I changed the title, and the website's been fucking up ever since. It's unbelievable. Like, you think like Apple and the whole podcast thing, it's so frustrating. It makes it so difficult to kind of get up and running. But I'll keep trying. I'll keep persevering. And the other thing as well, well, like SoundCloud and when you're paying like hosting, you want to make sure that you've access to all your stuff. You know what I mean? A lot of times when you upload things, you don't know who kind of owns it. You know, it's the same with like photography competitions and things like that. When you upload a photo and in the small print, it can be like when you upload it onto their website or their competitions, you're kind of giving them that photo nearly sometimes. So just be careful with things like that. That can happen sometimes if you upload, content, a podcast, a song, whatever. Make sure you're ticking the right boxes and looking the small print, because you don't know who owns the content then, or who can make changes to it and redistribute it as their own and stuff like that. So just be aware of that stuff. At least with your own website, you've full control over your stuff, unless there was like a power outage or whatever else. But I just thought it was a really, really good idea. So I'm going to try and start writing more. With the podcast, I'm still trying to figure out the layout, okay? So one of the times I kind of wrote down a paragraph. I have this app on my phone. It's kind of like a little word app or whatever. So, and I don't want to carry on a pen and paper with me all the time, but sometimes I get these different ideas or whatever into my head, and I like to put them on paper. And that's what I was going to do for each podcast, maybe. At the end of maybe one, give a kind of thought or whatever on something, you know what I mean? Could be small some weeks, could be big other weeks, and I thought it'd be a good way to kind of put my own unique touch on things, you know what I mean? Like, at the end of the day, this is my podcast, and I don't want to be generic. I want to do something other people can't do, and that's be me. If that makes any sense. I know it sounds kind of cheesy, but that's all I'm trying to do with this podcast. It's just to be me. So if I can put my own thoughts on things or whatever else, I'll be pretty happy with that. But then I was kind of thinking, how often do I want to upload? And I'm thinking I might upload like maybe even once a day if it comes to it. If I've got free time in my hands, I could come to that. But I don't want to rush these things either. So I don't know if I could write, like say 1,000 words each day to put at the end of each podcast. And I don't want to just force myself to do it either. So I'm just kind of thinking. But then I did two podcasts for the UFC as well. One prediction one, and a quick review one just there I put up, and I loved that as well. And I love that it's kind of different content. My podcast is all about kind of me kind of going through life and talking about things and my kind of my outlook on things and how I'm becoming a better person. And then I can also have a UFC one. But I'm not even sure if I should include all that in the one podcast, or would it get too messy? Is there too many topics then going to be in the one podcast? Because I do want to go into a lot of different, say, emotions and topics. So I want to talk about, personal stuff, mental health. I love UFC. I used to love video games, and I have kind of strong opinions on them. And what's it called? E3 is coming up next week. E3 is like a big games reveal thing. And I would love to do something for that nearly. I'm even thinking I might do like a live kind of podcast review of like a kind of like a reaction to all the stuff being announced and revealed and stuff like that. So anybody who's interested in gaming might be interested in that type of podcast. I'm not sure whether to do a live one or to do how would you say, just a review then, a quick review at the end. But the only problem is I might forget most of the stuff because, once it's happening live, I can give my live thing. But then it will be a challenge for me because I don't want to have a lot of dead air. Me sitting there watching a 3-4 minute video and, just dead air. So, but I suppose I'm going to edit that out, the dead air or whatever. But Yeah, I might do that actually. That sounds pretty interesting. Do a live one. It just depends on what time the reveals are on at. I live in Ireland, so even watching the UFC is very, very tough. UFC was on last night. The main event I wanted to see was on at 6 o'clock in the morning, and I just couldn't do it. You know what I mean? I was so tired going to bed last night, and I'm like, I loved UFC. I was looking forward to this fight, but I'm going to be absolutely exhausted the next day. And I've got stuff to do, so I had to make an adult decision. As much as it killed me, to make an adult decision to skip it. And luckily enough, when I woke up in the morning, the first thing I seen, I went on. Second I woke up with my phone in my hand, went onto YouTube, and I was looking up the results to see who won. And actually, some guy uploaded the full fight to YouTube. It was pretty good. Like, it was decent enough quality. The only problem was it was like, to get rid of like the copyright, they had to zoom the camera in a little bit. So they recorded the full fight and then they zoomed in a little bit, so everything was kind of like, you know, it's the exact same, just zoomed in. So some of the shots were like, you nearly just see the guy's lips and you're just like walking around and throwing punches. But yeah, it was good. Like, at least I got to see it then, because I wanted to see it for a good while. So I'm happy enough I got to see it. Uh, like, it's impossible. The UFC is so big now, and you wake up the next morning, the results are everywhere, all over the internet. You type in, UFC, and it's just everywhere. You see the guy holding up the title or whatever, and you're like, fuck, it gives away straight away who won the fight. So, they do some fight nights though. Fight nights are kind of UFC kind of smaller events you do around the world. So there was one in Sweden the other week. There was one in Scotland, I think, next week. So I can watch them. The events there kind of start maybe about 4 o'clock in the day, and the main event might be on about 10 o'clock or so. So it's perfect. You know what I mean? You can watch it with a cup of tea, cup of coffee, even a beer, or whatever, and you can just relax then. And I even play a bit of Xbox, whatever else you want to do afterwards, and just relax. Whereas the one on last night, just stay up until 6 o'clock in the morning, or set an alarm, or do whatever. And the way I am, I don't go to sleep after watch UFC event. It's impossible for me anyway. I'm just filled with adrenaline. It's just kind of like, you lie down there and your body just pumps with adrenaline. You have it like sitting there sweating, you're like trying to go to sleep. It's like, yeah, that's not going to happen. You're basically up. And then all of a sudden it could be like 7:30 before you fall asleep again. And it's just like, fucking, it's just not worth it, It's such a shame that there's so many just UFC events in America, and that's their primary audience. But what can you do? So what else was I talking about? E3 reveal. That's what I was looking into as well. That could be fun. Xbox, I think, are announcing a new console. I haven't played. I sold my Xbox One. I got an Xbox 360. And I had a PS2 before that. And then I moved on to a 360. I don't even know why. I think it was just, there was good games or something coming out for at that time. And I kind of jumped ship onto an Xbox. What games did I get with it? Oh, actually, yeah, I remember. Imagine this. At Christmas that I got Fallout 3, Gears of War 2, and GTA 4. And for those of you who don't know, them games are fucking amazing. They're some of my favourite games of all time still. Fallout 3 is absolutely fucking adored that game. It's so, especially the start of it, it's so creepy. I've never been as enthralled with a game as like that in my entire life. So for those you don't know, the start of Fallout 3 is you start off as a baby. You're born into this world. Like the opening cutscene is like you coming out of the womb, basically. So you're coming into the light, and you're in this vault, and you're kind of walking around, and you're kind of slowly gathering as a player that there's different, like, this is a bit weird. Where the fuck are we? Like, are we in a spaceship, or what's going on here? And it goes on and on. It kind of starts to realize there's something really kind of weird and fucked up here going on, and it's kind of eerie, and it kind of shows you getting older. So. Or even as a kid, you walk around as a kid and you're in your playpen. Then I think it jumps again and you're taking tests and stuff like that. And to me, it was a genius way of showing how life in the vault happens, kind of. You're doing your exams, and your exams would be to determine what you do for the rest of your life then in the vault. You know what I mean? Whatever what's it called, an application or aptitude test, whatever the hell it was. And then shit, I can't remember now. Something actually happens and you end up killing the overseer. The overseer is like the guy over the vault. And so it turns out you're actually in this vault. It's a nuclear vault. When the bombs dropped, I think it was like, the story in the game is America and China had a nuclear war or something like that, and basically nearly the entire world was wiped out, and people had tons of these vaults and they hid in them, and that was basically the only way they could survive. So there's a long thing where you kind of hear bits and pieces about the outside world. You eventually escape, and there's just this amazing moment where you kind of kill the overseer. I think you realise your dad leaves the vault. That's it, because no one leaves the vault really. But your dad's a scientist, and he goes off. See, there's a huge problem with water in the outside world because all of the water is irradiated from all the nuclear radiation or whatever. So he leaves. He leaves to go and doing some purification thing, whatever. So you don't know yet, I think, what he's doing. You just know he's gone, so he tried to get out, and you kind of kill the overseer. But it's this amazing moment where as soon as you walk out, and it's like the light hits your eyes, and you're like blind, and your character's hands kind of go up to block his eyes, and then you slowly become adjusted to the sun, and you see the entire landscape, and it's just like, holy shit. You see everything is like war torn. There's like just bits of houses everywhere. Everything's just leveled, and it's just like, what the fuck? Like, when I first played it, I was genuinely stood there, I think, for a minute or two, kind of looking out, and just turn my character just to look around the landscape. It's just an amazing moment where it just hits you, and this feeling of awe, you know. Fucking, it was incredible, I have to say. Still stuck to me to this day, because I never knew anything about the game. I got it, you know. Got these games randomly, and I kind of played them and didn't know what to expect, and it turned out to be one of my favourite games of all time. It's an amazing game. I still love it. Fallout 3. The other game's Gears of War 2. Now Gears of War 2, that's what started a lot of shit, man. That's me blowing my nose. I apologise. Gears of War 2 is the one that started a lot of shit for me. That helped me through some very, very tough times. And this is the one I think I mentioned this before in other episodes about I wouldn't say I was addicted to video games. I was never addicted, ever. But I definitely used them as a crutch. I've always played video games growing up. Always. Remember when I was a kid, had a PS1, and I'd have like Spyro and Crash Bandicoot and games like that. And I was only like very, very, very young. Before that, the Sega. We kind of grew up playing games. That's what I'm trying to say. I grew up playing games, video games, and I used to love them. But around this period of my life, when I was a teenager, I think I was like 16, 17, I was going through some tough things, and then Gears of War came out. And you see, one of the biggest things in my life, right? So we used to play video games. When we played video games as even teenagers and kids, we used to sit beside each other. We'd go to each other's houses and be like, oh, what are you doing? You know, I'm playing this new game I got. And you'd sit there, and there was this whole thing about playing a video game with your friends. Like, we used to always play some random game. We wouldn't even know what game we were playing, because you used to, like, one be sitting on the bed, and the other people would be sitting on the floor, just like flicking through a book and just talking about random stuff. And we'd have like music on in the corner, and it was just a pure like chill out session, you know. And then when I was 17, that's what I was saying, Gears of War, the kind of they announced, that's my mom singing in the background, by the way, if anybody wants to hear. If you can hear that, she's actually painting the ceiling with the fucking 80s music on full blast. It's fucking crazy. So Gears of War was online multiplayer, and I'd never had that before in my entire life, ever. I was blown away. I was 17 years old, I think nearly 18, before I played a game online. Now, when we were kids, we used to play racing games, and when we played racing games, we used to pretend the other AI, it was just other cars in the game. We used to pretend there was other people controlling them, and we'd use our imaginations and like imagine that was like some, you know, granddad with his grandson or something playing, and we'd crash into them. And that's what we used to do. We used to pretend the other characters were players, were real people. And now we're actually playing with other people. You know, the internet kind of got better around the world, and we were playing with Americans, and we're like, wow, this is class. But I used to go on and go from game to game. So I'd stick on Fallout 3 and then I played a bit of Gears of War. I completed the campaign in Gears of War and I stuck on multiplayer. You know, I pushed like a few times, managed to somehow get my way into a multiplayer game. And I was like, right, what the fuck's this all about? And I was kind of thinking to myself, look, I've completed the campaign. How hard can it be to play multiplayer? Okay, you walk around and you shoot the people. Because in the campaign, I played it on like easy mode or something. So like everyone just stands still and you walk up to them with a shotgun, you shoot them, and that's it. It's all over. I played my very first game ever, and I'd never ever forget it. It was so funny. There was this thing where it's like you come out of spawn. All the maps were like asymmetrical, so you come out of spawn and I'd sit against a bench. just like just sit there like a retard, aim a gun over it and start shooting at people and not move. I just be like, sure, what's gonna happen, whatever. Every single round someone just casually walked up behind me and shot me, and I was like, what's going on? And it was a game mode that you couldn't respawn, so like you only get one life. Yeah, I got absolutely demolished, and I was sitting there and I was so confused of like the how I was so bad at this, and I was like, what's going on? There's something wrong here, or they're cheating or whatever. And I slowly kind of got better, because Gears of War is a game that it kind of piqued my interest. Okay, so in Gears of War 2, when you die, when you're playing execution, so it's 5 people on either side, you get 1 life each. And this very, very powerful thing kind of happened, and I was kind of unaware of it. So what happened was I died as usual, and we're in a certain game that in Gears of War, when you die, you can become a ghost, so you can spectate your teammates. Okay, so what happened was I died, and the camera kind of automatically goes to your next teammate that's still alive. And what happened was there was a 1v1 to win the match, so it was 4-all. And it was 1 player versus 1 player. So basically, all 10 of us that were just in that game, his other 4 players were looking at him, and our 4 players were focusing on our guy. Like we were all looking at his screen. Do you know what I mean? That's what our cameras are doing. And I was looking at a book or something in my room. I was kind of looking around the place, going, for fuck's sake, come on, hurry up so I can play the next game, or blah blah blah. I wasn't really paying much attention, but it was only when I looked up then, and I realised there was this 1v1. And this thing just kind of come over me. I was like, what the fuck are they doing? Or what's going on here? And it was this unbelievably powerful moment that kind of wakened something in me. Wakened something deep within me. And I was like, what is going on? And I could feel my heart nearly starting to beat a bit. And I was like, what's going on here? I was looking at these 2 guys. It's probably sounding stupid to people that don't understand the game or are not into video games. But it was basically like a 1v1, okay? So these 2 guys were like, I mean, the tension was unbelievable. They were going around pieces of cover and doing tiny little moves to kind of outplay each other, to get the other person to react, to overextend. And I was like, what the fuck? I was just, my jaw was just dropped and my mouth was open. I was like looking at this going, what is this? This is incredible. And with Gears of War it's the perfect type of game for that, because it's so methodical. And it's like you can shoot to the player and do tons of damage, and unless you finish them off, they still have a chance to kill you. Do you know what I mean? So it gets so personal, And with all of us looking at their screens, you could kind of see how nervous they were. It just created this unbelievably tense kind of atmosphere. And the moves they were doing, everything was so calculated. It was meticulous. And I'm just going, when I thought of this game, I was like, you run around, you shoot people. You get your machine gun out, it's like do, you fall over and you carry on. Because I was used to playing like Call of Duty or whatever, that really famous game, you kind of run around but this had layers upon layers of it. And straight away, when I seen these 2 people doing the 1v1, something just awoke in me, just completely awoke, and I said, I want to get better at this game. This competitive edge or something that I still carry with me today, so I'm very, very grateful for that game to give me that. But this thing I could feel it awakening me. It was this it's me against that person. And with other people watching, it was incredible. And that was the time I completely opened my eyes to this competitive edge I had in myself. I always knew it was kind of there. And then with the levels of Gears of War and the different techniques you can do, it's pretty incredible. The learning curve is massive. And I want to say, like, I'm not blowing my own horn or whatever, but throughout the years, I was so determined to become a better player, and the same with everything, with writing, with photography, with anything I put my mind to. When I go 100%, I will just go 100%. Like I was watching videos of people. When I turn off my Xbox, I turn on say Twitch or something like that, and I'd watch other people playing, like professional people, and I'd be like, what are they doing? What's their reactions? Why they play at a slower sensitivity, so their character moves slower, so they've complete control over everything. And I'd analyze every single movement so meticulously and try and copy things and take different things from different people, and whether to play aggressive, when to play not aggressive. And that's how I just kind of got better, and I applied that to other things in my life as well. Gears of War 3 came out then. That was Gears of War 2, and the Gears of Wars after that. And one other thing about that, there was a few times in my life that I felt, there was a few nights even especially, when I felt really, really, really bad, and things were not going well for me. There was not a lot of places for me to escape from my problems. And then that's when I discovered Gears, and I started to kind of use it as a crutch nearly, because when I played a game like that I completely fell in love with, and it demands all of your attention, and I wanted to be the best possible player I could be. Once you enter these games and you're looking at you're predicting the enemy's movement, you're predicting yours, you're looking at this, you're looking at everything else, you don't have any time, you don't have any room in your mind to worry about stupid shit. It was perfect, and it helped me through some unbelievably tough times. So for that, I'll always be grateful. So the video games, not the, but I'm kind of wondering now, looking back, like, if I knew now what I knew then, I would have faced my fears in that a lot earlier on, and but I didn't. I did what I could. But Gears of War back then was helping through a lot of tough times, and it's unfortunate now that that's why I sold my Xbox One. I had Gears of War 4, but see, a new company took it over, and they kind of drove it into the ground. Everything that made it good, everything that made it unique. They put in robots, they put in zombies in the game. They just completely destroyed it. They made it gimmicky. They made it everything. They took everything away that I loved. And even it was this 1v1, the 1v1 kind of style of the game that I fell in love with. This slow, meticulous pace. They completely got rid of that, and he made everything stupid fast. So all of these young kids, younger kids, love to mash different buttons to go faster, and it became all about who can mash the most buttons, and not the most intelligent player would always win. It's not like that anymore, and it just kind of ruined the game for me. It took away that intensity. They still have big competitions from that. At this weekend, actually, there's a huge competition for it. That's for I think it's like $200,000 or $300,000. The top teams ever take that, but it's just run by the wrong people. It kind of died a while ago, and it was resurrected by Microsoft to kind of be a console seller as a big game. But I kind of do miss it. I miss playing it. Anytime, it was just always one of them things. It kind of felt like a person, Gears of War. That was always kind of there for me. You pick it up and it's always kind of there for you, I loved it, and the people on it as well. But that's why I just, like, once you put zombies and robots in your game, you're telling me, look, I've no more ideas. That's what you're saying to me. When you put zombies and robots in your game that didn't have them originally, and even these zombie games, like, you're just saying to me, I've no creativity whatsoever. I've zero. I've given up. I'll appeal to the masses, and that's it. It's done. It's over. Put it this way. Same thing as the way I predict the UFC fights and everything else. If your whole game is all about satisfying kills and stuff like that, when you shoot someone, their body used to explode and fall into pieces, and that was the whole thing. You get a headshot. It was just huge, this stupid, over the top kind of like a watermelon popping, and then he'd scream, and it was so satisfying. And then they introduced robots. How can you kill a robot and be satisfied? Do you know what I mean? In a video game, you just shoot it, sparks come out, and it falls over. And I seen this coming a mile away. They announced this game, way before. They show trailers and that, and I'm like, why am I shooting robots? That's not fun. That takes away the whole intimacy of the Gears of War thing when you're 1v1 and you want to kill that person, and get like it's so satisfying when you shoot a robot. It's just like they fall over and you keep carrying on, and it gets boring. And the developers for some reason didn't see this coming, but I did. I played a very very little Gears of War 4. I played it very very little. I had no real interest in it. They filled it with microtransactions, and they're kind of smaller, kind of in-game items you can buy the whole time, like different colors for your weapons, stuff like that. Just tons of really stupid stuff. They just destroyed the game. And then even the story, putting robots and zombies in, it's just terrible. Like, let me ask you something. Whoever's listening to this, let me ask you something. Any zombie show, any zombie film, any whatever you've ever heard of, when have you ever heard of an original zombie film or a TV show or whatever with an original plot or storyline? When is it ever not about a random virus outbreak and everyone wants to eat each other now? Or else this one person can save us. For some reason this one person didn't get infected. And that's it. Like, that's the level of storylines. And then the rest of the film or the TV show was you just running away like a retard. Or you trying to escort this child or this whatever to these other scientists that can save the world. Like, that's it. There's 2 variations every single time. It's the most boring thing in the world to me. I know some people love it, but to me, I can't stand that shit. I really can't. It's so unbelievably boring to me. I played The Walking... Oh no, not The Walking Dead. What am I talking about? There's a game on PS4 called... The Last of Us. No, I have to say, that's kind of like about zombies, and the girl in it is like the last hope for humanity or whatever. So that was a bit, I kind of wasn't interested in that. But the character development in it was really, really good. Was really, really good. That's what kind of drove the game on for me. It was very, very intimate, and it was kind of like this guy, the way they developed the characters was just masterful, I have to say. Absolutely masterful. It was very, very good. I was just addicted to that game. Not addicted, sorry. I was just so into that game. It was amazing. It was truly, truly amazing. I'd recommend anybody to pick it up and play it. If you're into zombies, 100%. If you're into just like story-driven games, I'd pick it up. Because it's more of a hope. It's not really about zombies. Like, you can kind of replace zombies with other things, but it's kind of like this last hope for humanity. And like everything's all shit and all this stuff. But you see these great characters slowly developing, and there's so many layers to them, and they really are brilliant. The new one's coming out pretty soon. It's probably going to be announced at E3, I'd say, for the PS4. So that could be good. The little girl in it, called Ellie, I fell in love with her straight away. Her character was just amazing, I have to say. And it was just very few times I could ever watch a film or play a game and walk away from it and then still think about it. I don't really get into many things, but I thought about that character Ellie a lot after it. The whole development thing and just the way she was, as if she was a real person. It was fucking brilliant how they drove the story along. I wish it wasn't about zombies, but because they weren't shoving the whole zombie thing down your fucking throat, it was more about, they could have changed the whole zombie thing with like an apocalypse or something like that. You know what I mean? And it still would have been as good. But I have to say, I really, really enjoyed the game. I'll probably get the next one as well. It was really good. That's all I kind of wanted to talk about in this podcast. I just wanted to talk a bit about Gears of War and stuff like that, because that was something that meant a lot to me. I truly, truly did. Not just like as a fan, playing a video game that I like to play. How that helped me out, emotionally and stuff like that, and got me through tough times. It's absolutely crazy. And a big test to myself, kind of how far I've come. I haven't turned on my PS4, I think, in 3 weeks now. And I used to use it a lot for like as a crutch, you know what I mean? To like, I'll get away from things or to calm down. And when nothing else makes sense, let's turn on this video game and play in this world with their worlds, and you're so involved with it, all the controls and the sounds and everything else, and you're completely just in that world. You're out with your own. And I haven't played it in about 4 weeks or 3 weeks or so. And I still like it, but I'm very conscious of what I'm doing. I'm not using anything as a crutch, and I'm focusing on all my problems now and tackling them all head on, and it's really, really helping. It's night and day difference, and it's something that I wanted to get out of my life for a long time. And there was periods of when I was going through really bad situations, and I was kind of thinking, I don't think I could ever see myself not playing Gears of War, or not, it's just I couldn't. And when you're in them situations, you just can't, because you're so deep within them. You don't even see a way out. I was just like, for the rest of my life, I'll probably play this game. Or what happens if this? I was going to think, what happens if this game goes bankrupt, or not go bankrupt, or flops, and they stop making it? And what will I be playing, in 10 years' time? Because you kind of need something to take your mind off things. And then you look a little deeper and you realize that it's not, the problem isn't taking your mind off things. The problem is the things you're taking your mind off. That's the real problem. You need to address them and fight them head on and demolish them. And then when you play a video game, you can truly enjoy it, you know what I mean? You're not playing it to run away from something. You're just simply playing it. You have a lot more fun. And it was the same again. I was kind of playing Gears of War and trying to get the best I could be to try and prove something to myself, I think it was. And a lot of times it was fun as well, but I'm kind of driven a lot by validation, I think it is. Well, I was driven a lot by validation, say, but I'm not anymore. The only thing I want to prove is to myself, you know what I mean? Not to anybody else. I know who I am. Same as even playing Gears, used to do certain things and act certain ways to try and please certain people, but when I go back, if the new Gears comes out on the next console and I play it again, and the same people I talked to for years are still playing, they're going to be talking to an entirely different person. And I'm putting that, I flick on the game, I'll play it for an hour or two, not for 12, and I'll go back to my real life. And I won't be vice versa like it was when I was growing up. I won't be, as soon as I got home, I'll tune into this world to get away from my own. That's not going to be the way it is. I refuse to go back to that. But I'm very happy, and it's kind of when you only kind of see things, you know what I mean? Little things, little reminders to realise how bad things were at one stage. And you don't give yourself enough credit now. And when I look back and I see that, and now I'm like, there was at one point in my life I didn't think I could ever go without playing the Xbox or do whatever or make changes or, and these same thoughts, drift into different things. So even now, I'm kind of thinking, how the hell am I going to move out of my house? I can't see myself living by myself or doing these different things. But come 10 years time, I will be. And then that thought, them thoughts will be shifted onto a different area of my life. These kind of doubts or these negative things. The same even with driving. I want to learn to drive as well. And it's the same exact process. I can't ever see myself driving. And you kind of wait for it, you wait for these different changes to happen, One day, I'll tell you, I'm going to wake up and I'm going to be confident and I'm going to start driving that day. And the problem is, I think a lot of people have that attitude and they keep waiting. They keep on waiting for that day. But it doesn't work that way. It's the opposite way. It's like one day I'm going to get up and start driving. And then I will become confident at driving. You do the thing. So I kind of rambled on a bit there about video games and stuff like that, but it's something that was very dear to me growing up, very, very dear. I kind of drifted away from now at the moment, but I think it's important to kind of talk about it. That was important to me growing up, so I definitely needed to talk about it in one episode. I might talk about it again, but I want to talk about it using specific examples of, not just rambling about video games. I like talking about, why I used them and how I used them and how powerful they can actually be. In certain ways, they're nearly like drugs, you know what I mean? They take you to a different world, a totally different world. They can help you escape everything. And a lot of people thinking back now, who I used to play with, that played video games even more than me, I think they were deeply troubled too. But it was fun. It was fun while it lasted, and it might happen again, you never know. So, the E3 thing coming up soon enough. I might do a live kind of podcast for that, or live reactions or whatever, and condense it all into a small podcast, or I might do a review, I'm not sure, but I probably will do a small thing. Like I did a separate episode for the UFC, I'll do one for the E3, and if anybody's interested in gaming, or even interested in just want to, listen to it anyway, I'll put it separately, in case anybody's not interested or whatever, and I'll leave it at that. So, I'll see you guys. I'll see you guys in the next one. I'll let you know I got on to volunteering today. I'm doing some stuff next week as well, so I'll keep you guys in the loop on that, how I'm keeping, and if anybody wants to tell me how they're keeping or whatever, I think I have an email or whatever attached to it. I should do. By all means, I'll respond to everything sent to me. So yeah, send me a message if you want. Yeah, I'm more than open to that. So hope you guys are keeping well, and I'll see you in the next one. Good luck.